My entitled wife hated every single Christmas gift I got her this year, as she complained that the only thing she wanted this year was $3,000 worth of tickets to a Taylor Swift concert. And despite the fact that she didn't get me anything this year for Christmas, as well as my family finding out about the way my wife has been treating me, I feel like my relationship is right on the line. And at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So I had an interesting Christmas. First, on my birthday in November, my wife told me my gift was on the way, but it never came. She said it kept getting delayed, and she ended up buying a Target sugar cookie house decorating kit. Fast forward to a few weeks ago, and she had asked me to help make a book of wedding pictures for her parents for Christmas, which I did. It was ordered for them last week. Last night, the two of us opened presents with her parents, and she discouraged me from bringing any of my presents for her to be open in front of her family because apparently my gift isn't here yet. I suggested printing a picture of it and putting the picture in a gift box or something, but she said that she couldn't do that. She then tells her parents about the photo book and shows them a picture of it on her phone, then turns to me and says, "That's your gift too." Then she opens my presents. One was all 3 Taylor Swift covers of Time magazine. She then said to me, "I asked for Era Tour tickets. That's the only thing I asked for this year." Now, we had talked about the tickets months ago, seeing that the cheapest ones would be about $1,500 each, and she already said she didn't want me to go with her, but she wanted an extra ticket for her friend. So she wanted me to spend at least $3,000 on tickets for something she didn't want me to do with her. Then she opened the next gift, which were tickets for a day of whitewater rafting that includes gear and training from an instructor. She said to me, "Oh, great." She said that she didn't want practical gifts, and this was something that we could do together. And at this point, her family is saying they're good gifts and that they're very thoughtful, just trying to make me feel better, but it literally made me feel worthless. She hated what I got for her, and she basically forgot to get me anything. Her parents called me and reassured me again that they were good gifts, and now my mom is calling me asking what I got from my wife for Christmas, and it's becoming a huge thing because she apparently heard what happened. I mean, what do I even do at this point? We've been married for 2 years, and she has not been one for like buying gifts, but this is a new low. I offered to return the tickets, and her response was to say, "I'll do it because you want us to do it." So honestly, how do I handle this? And how do I discuss this with my mom? Because so far, I've dodged going into a lot of detail about it, especially when my mom tries to dig deeper into a conversation about it. What should I do? So I want to start off by saying just the obvious stuff that's pointed out to me at least, because it really seems like your wife just doesn't like you. And I don't say that to try and be silly or anything like that. Like, based on what you described, it really doesn't seem like she likes you at all. Like, for starters, she just straight up didn't buy anything for you for Christmas, or even your birthday for that matter. And then secondly, she expects you to drop $3,000 on tickets, but then she doesn't even want you to go with her to the stupid concert. It's like, what is going on right now? Because right now it doesn't seem like she likes you in the slightest. And her parents are probably like super embarrassed by what happened. Like, here you are trying to get a gift that's like, I don't know, something you two can do together. And she's like, "Oh my God, this is not what I wanted. All I wanted were Era Tour tickets. How dare you?" And like, seriously, this is super obnoxious and like really entitled. Like, it really seems like this is beyond her being bad at giving gifts, and instead it all feels very planned and very calculated against you. So I don't know, I think it's really weird for her to want you to buy tickets to an event that she doesn't even want you to go to, and then act as if this is your fault for not being able to afford that. Because in my opinion, that's really weird, and you definitely do not deserve to get treated like that. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to AmITheJerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. My family and brother destroyed any Christmas cheer and spirit that I have left, and this is even after Christmas was finally over. And after dealing with their awful attitudes as well as my brother's torment towards me, I'm seriously at such a loss, and I now don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So I'll start things off with a few weeks ago. My brother recently had his birthday, and he used it as an opportunity to hurt everybody without any fear of consequence. During the 11th of November, which is Remembrance Day, and during the minute silence, he made as much noise as he could, and I tried to hold myself back after the minute had finished. His birthday week was chaotic. On his actual birthday, he whined about the presents not being in a specific size or quantity. My parents did absolutely nothing after he said this, which disgusted me. Every single day, he tormented me, told me to hurt myself on different days, and at the end of the week, we were were meant to have a barbecue to commemorate his birthday. Now, I was going to attend, but he began to verbally and physically hurt me, so I decided to leave and go to my partner's house. Before I left, I learned about why my parents ignored his awful remarks and blamed me for his actions. They told me that if they didn't see it, then it didn't happen. They didn't want to call him out for his actions, as that would make them feel bad, and if he told them something didn't happen, even if they saw it, they would ignore it, as they wouldn't want to call him a liar. According to them, I needed counseling. I spent the rest of the day with my partner, which I really enjoyed. I had to come home afterwards, and I was instantly berated by my sibling. I wanted to stay with my partner and not come back here ever again. During the weeks up to Christmas, life took a difficult turn, and I tried my hardest to pick myself up again while my family tried to force me back down, with my brother creating drama out of nothing to demean me while my parents took his side. Work got busier and busier, and one of my best friends there unfortunately left. I've also been doing a lot of housework, with my family not even bothering to help, even if I get overwhelmed and nauseated from the speed I'm working at. I found myself getting overworked, and I was asked to work Christmas Eve, and now I've been asked to work New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. I'm currently saving up to leave time for an event that'll take place next year in February. Now, when it comes to what happened on Christmas, I just wanted to enjoy Christmas with my family and spread some holiday cheer. I wrapped most of my gifts and decorated the house while everyone else didn't even lift a finger to help. I tried very hard to make Christmas Day the best I could, but now I'm wondering why I even tried in the first place. At every moment on Christmas Day, I had my brother trying to start a fight with me, and I didn't even know why. During our Christmas lunch, he stood up and screamed at me and told me to shut up and just pass away already, even though I was just eating food. My parents didn't do anything, and every time I've tried to talk today, he's either told me to shut up or he's been speaking over the top of me. He's been trying to exclude me from the family Christmas celebration all day. During the gift opening, he threw a tantrum that I got a Sonic Lego set. He also got a large present, which was a picture from Stranger Things, and proceeded to tease me about it, all because he had a bigger present. He was acting like he was 2 years old. We also opened our presents after everything had been handed out, and he hadn't opened the large one yet when I opened the Sonic one. The cherry on top was what happened during the afternoon. I was asked to play a game of Monopoly, and I agreed. It was a tough game, and I found myself getting stressed out from the game and from the heat. I tried to leave, but my mother was close to winning, and for some reason, she didn't want the game to end. I felt frustrated, and when I tried to leave again to have a break, she demanded that I come back and help her pack up. I forfeited the game, and then my brother decided to mock me for losing. I mean, I was this close to punching him. When I helped pack up, she guilt-tripped me about not being able to play Monopoly with her in the future. I mean, I wanted to cry. This was all because she wanted to win. The day was awful. During dinner, my brother tried to scare me as much as he could. He slammed the fridge, kicked the pantry, and thumped the kitchen bench aggressively. I finished dinner as fast as I could. He also threw a pile of clothes at me. It's not as bad as what's happened for most of the day, but I was still upset nonetheless. The next day, I was subjected to more awful things, but all without it being Christmas Day. My mother tried to start something with me just because I took my breakfast out of the pantry, and my brother tried to start something just because I walked past him. This evening, I got called out for dinner, and I went to the kitchen. My brother was there, and I kept my distance from him. I breathe softly at a quick pace when I'm afraid, and that's how I show my fear. He knows this, and he exploited me for it repeatedly. He teasingly told me to breathe after he just sat down at the table, and he just kept ranting at me. This got my parents into another discussion where they blame me again for everything that goes on in this household. I remembered about needing to check something, and I walked back into my room. They began to yell at me for walking away and told me that I was immature. I tried to explain that I was checking something to them, but my mom screamed at me and said, "I'm not a mind reader." But then I just screamed, "Well, I'm not your servant." And when I walked back into the kitchen, I took my dinner into another room, wanting to avoid the conversation. After I finished my dinner, I came back out and placed my plate neatly in the dishwasher. Well, for some reason, this caused my mother to flip out again, and she yelled at me for supposedly slamming things into the dishwasher when I wasn't even doing that in the slightest. I walked away to my room, which is where I am now. She barged into my room and yelled at me to grow up and that I was acting like I was 2 years old and that I apparently thought the whole world revolved around me. She then brought up the Monopoly game and forgot to mention that she wanted to keep playing even though I was getting stressed out. She called me pathetic and did this whole routine of of imitating me as if I was saying, "Oh wow, I'm losing, I'm so sad." Now, I wanted to bring up what she did, but I knew that I'd just make her angrier. My dad agreed with her as well, and my brother yelled out his agreement from the table. I shut my door again and I cried, with my brother mocking me from outside my bedroom door. On a lighter note, I'm gonna be moving soon, and I know my moving date is coming up next year, but I'm wondering if I should just run away. I don't know how much more I can take, and honestly, at this point, I don't know what to do. First of all, I want to say that this is a really awful situation, and I'm really excited for you to move out. Your brother treats you awful, and your parents don't believe the fact that your brother's a monster, and they're completely ignoring all the terrible things that he's doing, all because they don't want to make him feel bad for calling him out. Like, that's crazy to me, and that's just completely unfair. Also, you mentioned that maybe you should run away, and in my opinion, I think that's a really bad idea, because it's only going to cause more problems in your life, and I'm fairly certain, depending on how old you are, that it very likely could ruin your chance to move out of that house and get away from those people. Like, if I was in your shoes, I would definitely not run away, but instead bide my time and make sure I have everything in order for when I do move out, because these people sound absolutely awful. And hopefully when you do get to move out, it all goes smoothly and these people are not as involved in your life anymore. My family is claiming that I have a bad attitude, all because I stood up for myself on Christmas Day. And even though I'm trying to set healthy boundaries with my family, I still feel like I have a lot of resistance from all of them. And at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. So to start things out, I'm a 29-year-old female. There are two groups of grandchildren, the 4 older ones that range from early 20s to early 30s, and the 6 younger grandchildren that are teens and below. And I'm the second oldest of the first group of grandchildren. Myself and my younger sibling, until about 4 years ago, always had harsher rules because the other 2 of the older grandchildren didn't have the best home life. My brother got sick, so now everything is on me. Up until recently, I've allowed my family to walk all over me and tell me what to do, even though I haven't lived at home for about 6 years now. And this is because I was kicked out, and they even spread rumors about me after I was kicked out. Anytime they would tell me to do something, I would do it. Pick this person up from here, clean this person's house, you have to be available to set up for this party, and so on and so forth. Well, I started therapy about a month and a half ago, which is something my family said we should never do because it's for crazy people. And one of the things I talked about with my therapist was how I'm feeling burnt out from doing whatever they say with no regards for my plans or resources. They taught me how to set a healthy boundary. A few days before Christmas, I was told by one of my relatives that I'm responsible for picking up my cousin. I told her that said cousin needs to be the one to ask me because I'm an adult and I don't need to be given orders, but I can be asked by the person who is also an adult in their late 20s if I can come and get them. The night of Christmas Eve at about 9:30 or 10 o'clock, my cousin calls and says, "So what time are you picking me up?" But I told her she never called and asked me, so I assumed that I wasn't. And though I could pick her up the next time, she needs to give me an appropriate amount of time because 13 hours before we need to be there is not okay. She tried to yell at me about how hard she has it and how she's been busy and could only call just now. But here's the thing, she's unemployed and usually doing nothing but smoking the herb, if you know what I mean. I told her, for starters, she's not gonna yell at me when I just said I could help her out. And secondly, all I said is that she needs to give better notice. I told her that I'd see her tomorrow because I was still doing Christmas with my in-laws when she called. Christmas morning, as I'm getting ready to get dressed so I can leave early to go get her, she sends me a text message that I don't need to get her anymore. I said okay, and I asked her twice if she was sure because I'm about to go out the door and was leaving early to come and get her. She said that she found a ride and she was going to do that. Now, I was annoyed because I woke up early, but whatever. So I leave and I get to Christmas and everyone that was there asked where she was. So I told them what happened and said that she set up another ride. They said they told her I was picking her up and I should have done it. But I explained to them that I'm not a child and I would rather be asked than ordered to do things, and that she can talk for herself and she can also arrange a ride for herself. I mean, she figures out how to do everything else. This is no different. They mumbled about how I have an attitude and said that we're going to move on. This cousin then calls an aunt saying their ride bailed and asks if they'd come and get her instead. Everyone then looks at me and I said I guess I'll go get her even though I asked if she needed me to get her in the first place. So I have my husband drive and I don't talk to her when we get there and don't respond to her when she's talking to me while I drive because I am so mad. And I continue not to talk talk to everyone else because I'm so mad at them, and they just resume mumbling about my attitude. I don't even know what to do. I try to stick up for myself and set a boundary, and it didn't work, and now I'm just angry at all of them. And my husband tells me to let it go because they've always been like this, and it's Christmas. I'm tired of being the only grandchild expected to do anything, and I'm starting to resent my family for it overall. What should I do? Yeah, I can totally understand where you're coming from here. It really seems like your family looks to you to do everything, and then when you don't do it, they get upset. Not because you didn't do it, but because they're the ones that have to step up and do it instead. And it's obvious that they're all lazy and they just want you to do everything. But you know what? One of my favorite words in the English dictionary is the word no. Like, that word is fantastic, and it's also a complete sentence. So honestly, I don't think you ever have to say yes to everything that's presented your way, or even find some kind of like common ground to make everybody happy. If you don't want to do something unreasonable from your family again, you can just tell them, no, I'm not going to do that, and then leave it at that. And if they don't like it, then guess what? They can step up to the plate for once in their lives and do something that they always expect you to do. Because in my opinion, the way you're being treated right now is completely unfair. You shouldn't have to be the only one doing everything around the house, and it's completely irrational for them to act like they can't do stuff as well. And sure, it does sound like you kind of caved when put under pressure, but with enough practice, I think you really can set some solid boundaries that everybody can eventually respect. And hopefully when that day comes, it all goes well, because honestly, you truly do deserve to be treated with respect. Am I the jerk for not paying my sister after she briefly helped out with getting my Christmas party completely organized? Here's what happened. So my husband and I hosted Christmas this year. My 20 living close family members have stayed with us from the 18th and will continue until tomorrow. A further 8 people joined us yesterday for Christmas dinner and a Christmas party. My older brother and his husband usually help me with the Christmas dinner, and they did this year as well, but there were a few more guests than usual, and we needed more hands on deck, so I asked my younger sister to help out. She agreed, if reluctantly, once she saw how much needed to be done, and then just got to work. She muttered when she started that I had better pay her back for this, to which I laughed because I thought it was a joke. There is a very high chance that I misinterpreted this, because I do have autism, and recognizing sarcasm is not one of my strong points. But she didn't object, so I took my interpretation as the correct one. I was and am incredibly grateful for her help, and thanked her for it many times. Once the cooking was done and the food was served in our dining room, I made sure to mention the contribution that everyone had put into the meal by name, as I do every single year. My sister then, this morning, just before she was about to leave, with everything packed up in her car saying goodbye to everybody, actually asked me how much I was going to pay her. I asked her what she meant, and she said that she had agreed to do it with the idea that she would be paid for it, and that she wasn't my slave. I said that I wasn't going to pay her because it was a favor. Also, I've done a lot for her during her time here, so if anything, it was her paying me back. She just glared at me and asked again for money, and I said I don't have anything for her. She didn't ask again, and left after telling me I was being a jerk with her for no reason. Now, we are normally on very good terms, so this was really surprising. I don't remember us ever arguing before now, so I think I either did something wrong or she was in a bad mood because she was hungover and I only did something slightly wrong. So honestly, am I the jerk in this situation? What should I do? I don't think you're the jerk at all. Like seriously, family helps out at Christmas dinners. How is this hard for your sister to understand? Like, you asked her for your help and you didn't even agree to pay her any money at the end of the night. So for her to step in and be like, wow, you're supposed to pay me for this? Like, that's crazy to me, and that's incredibly spoiled of her to try and make that assumption. And here's the thing, if I was in the sister's shoes and my sibling came up to me and said, hey, I need help getting my Christmas party together because there's an insane amount of people here and we just need the help, my first thought would not be, hey, I want to get paid for this if I'm gonna help you out. I'm gonna look at my sibling and then the people around me and be like, yeah, I definitely want to help out. Like, based on what the original poster was saying, there was over like 25 people at this party, and I don't know if you've been to a party like that and you've tried to organize something like that, but not only is that going to be a logistical nightmare if you're not prepared, but that's also a lot of food that you have to get ready. I know any smaller get-togethers that I've had with family have had a lot of food to feed everybody involved. So the fact that there would be over 25 people there attending this party, that would be more than enough reason for me in the sister's shoes to be like, yeah, I'm gonna help out. But on the flip side, her demand to get money for her involvement is honestly so weird to me, and I just don't think there's a good enough reason to justify that. So overall, no, you're absolutely not the jerk. Family is expected to help out, and the fact that your sister can't understand that truly shows how selfish she truly is. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist at the top of the description. And if you want some chill music to put on in the background, check out Easy Mode. If you like Am I the Jerk, subscribe to Am I the Genius. Everything will be linked down below in the description.